Welcome to the candidates debate for the 9th Essex District State House of Representatives seat. I'm David Watts Jr., the producer and moderator for this debate. The press panel this evening is reporter columnist Mark Sardella from the Wakefield Daily Item, Thor Jorgensen, editor of the Lynn Daily Item, and Richard Tenorio from the Wakefield Observer. The candidates in tonight's debate are Jennifer Migliore and State Representative Donald Wong. There are no opening statements in this evening's debate. In turn, a question will be asked of a candidate by a member of the press panel. That candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Following that response, the opposing candidate will have the opportunity to present his or her own 1-minute response to the same question. To allow for as many questions as possible in the time available while maintaining the ability for all to have a chance to respond, candidates should please keep their answers short and to the point. Questions have not been provided in advance. Questions must be relevant to issues important to the town. Questions of a personal nature are not allowed. At the end of the debate, each candidate will have the opportunity to give a 2-minute statement. To maintain strict compliance to the stated time limits, please keep your answers short, questions short. We'd like to get as many in as possible in the hour that we have. And the moderator will govern the conduct of the debate at all times. Let us begin the debate with a question to candidate Migliore from Mark Sardella.
Wakefield has two major public transit routes, the commuter rail and the MBTA bus line. What is your position on MBTA privatization?
Thank you so much, and thank you so much to WCAT for hosting this debate. With regards to privatization, I am an adamant supporter of the Pacheco Law, which states that if we are going to privatize MBTA and public transit services, we have to do so while maintaining quality. So at this point in time, I am against privatization because I believe it raises cost and it delivers quality constituent services. And most importantly, it takes away good paying, family sustaining jobs. So thank you so much for that question, and I am against privatization. And I was proud to be endorsed by the Boston Carmen's Union and stand with them last week at their rally.
State Representative Wong.
I'm right now against privatizing. I would like to see some negotiation where we can still work with some of the unions. I think the main thing is working with management and getting management done, because the past administration had someone that was managing the MBTA, and I don't think that they were doing such a great job. Now I hope that by looking at some of the problems we have, especially maintenance problem, and fixing them, I think it'll be much better.
Thank you. Thor Jorgensen to State Rep Wong.
This is a two-part question. First of all, good evening to both of you. Union Hospital. How are you working to keep the hospital open against the backdrop of partners' threats to close it? And if that effort is unsuccessful, what would Union Hospital's best future be? What the best future for the land and the site?
Right now, it's ongoing. We're talking, and our partner has said that they would like to close the hospital within 3 years. My suggestion is that I would like to see alternatives over there when they close in 3 years. My idea would be maybe even putting a VA hospital there, because right now, we have to go all the way to Jamaica Plain. For the North Shore, VA hospital would be great with an emergency ward in there, in which we could take care of the North Shore at the same time. Because, don't forget, Lynn has a registered population, I think, of over 90,000 people. And that's the only full-service hospital that we have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question. I attended a rally today to try to save Union Hospital, Partners Healthcare actually donated over $100,000 to the dark money to support charter schools. I'm adamantly opposed to the closing of Union Hospital, and I plan to work with our state delegation, including Senator Tommy McGee, who has supported me, and Rep. Stan Cahill and Brendan Crichton of Lynn. I think we really need to work together and have a strong voice on Beacon Hill. We need to sit down with Speaker DeLeo and say, if Partners is going to close Union Hospital, what can we get in return? What are the services that can be maintained there? And again, I have a new vision for the 9th Essex District. Let's try to create innovative and research jobs there. Let's bring biotech to the North Shore and the 9th Essex District. I think if Union Hospital has to close, we need to make sure that the services are there for the City of Lynn and the rest of the 9th Essex District to make sure that they have emergency services available.
Rich DeOrio for Jennifer Migliore.
Good evening. Should you be elected, how do you address water quality issues at Lake Quannapowitt?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I'm a strong and passionate supporter of the environment. And while knocking on doors, hearing about Lake Quannapowitt and how it's, really been struggling, the water quality has been a big issue on many of the residents who I've talked to. I actually swam in Lake Quannapowitt way back when as a child, and it was a great experience. So I definitely think we need to work with the state of Massachusetts. And again, this is about having a new and a stronger voice on Beacon Hill. We need to fight for our fair share of state aid. So I would ask Speaker DeLeo to say, let's look at these great environmental jewels we have in the 9th Essex District, which includes Lake Quannapowitt, but it also includes Breakheart Reservation and Lynn Woods. And let's protect these natural resources and really make the North Shore a destination district.
State Rep. Wong.
Again, the lake is like a hidden jewel. We also got a grant for $100,000 to bring down the poles that had the wires on, by the lake. The poles were a distraction. It was there. People could hit, cars could hit into it. But the view of it was the main thing. And we're looking at trying to fix the water over there. But again, we have to use both state and city, town. I have been talking with Steve Mayo, and we're looking at some alternative things that we can do in cooperation with the state.
Mark, question for State Rep. Wong, please.
What is your position on ballot question 4, the legalization of marijuana for recreational and commercial sale?
Okay. I support a no vote that would make no change in the current law relating to marijuana. We have finally reduced the tobacco industry's hold on young people. Why would we want to create a commercial marijuana industry? The health and safety of our citizens, both young and old, would be at risk. The horrible effect of the drug use on our generation is both alarming and sad. The argument that tax marijuana will generate millions in annual revenue for the state and local government is not a bargain when you consider the cost of regulations, the enforcement, public health and safety, and the substance abuse treatment. We have seen what happened in Colorado and Washington, and the tax that is generated does not cover the abuse. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I am also no on question 4. At this point in time, I don't think we've done enough to really support our efforts for legalizing medical marijuana. I think we need to expand that and see how that works, and then we can look on to potentially legalizing it for recreational use. So I am no on 4 at this time. I commend Senator Jason Lewis of Winchester and the senator for this district here in Wakefield on his hefty investigation of this issue. He's found that the legislation is frankly flawed as it currently is written, and it will benefit the marijuana companies and, may be a danger, as Representative Wong mentioned, to our children. And frankly, it's just not taxed enough. So I am no on 4, and I agree. We need to be doing more for our kids, and that's why I'm no.
Thank you. Thor for Jennifer Migliore.
The State Environmental Policy Act review of Wheelabrator's proposal to extend the life of its landfill concluded earlier this year that no further environmental review was necessary and that the proposal can be advanced to the State Department of Environmental Protection for permitting. How would you work with Wheelabrator and the town to help the firm develop its proposal regarding the landfill?
Thank you so much, Thor. So, Wheelabrator, for folks that don't know, in Wakefield, it is a trash incinerator, and then there's an ash landfill. And this ash landfill is located within, miles of residential neighborhoods. It's in the Rumney Marsh, which is an area of critical environmental concern, and it's looking to expand. It's reached capacity. This happens to be the only landfill of its kind where it's unlined. Most landfills have a synthetic plastic liners. Frankly, I do not want the Wheelabrator ash landfill to be expanded. I want no more expansion. However, so I would like to work with the state to reconsider and actually have an environmental impact review study. Whether you're for the expansion of the landfill or against it, you should be for investigating the potential risks of what this landfill might present. While knocking on over 8,000 doors in the communities of Saugus, Wakefield, and Lynn, but particularly in Saugus, people are very, very concerned about the potential health risk factors regarding Wheelabrator. And there's so many cases of, oh, my friend got cancer, and we just don't know the risks. I've been adamantly opposed to the Wheelabrator ash landfill, and if I was state representative, I would have co-sponsored Rep. Rosalie Vincent's legislation to prevent expansion. So I plan to work with Representative Rosalie Vincent of Revere and be a strong advocate for our residents, because my first priority as your next state representative is to serve the people and not multi-billion-dollar corporations that are just there to serve their own interests. And I think this is an area where Representative Wong has been weak on. We need a stronger voice on Beacon Hill.
I think someone might have gave you the wrong information because I did co-sponsor Representative Vincent's bill. But I'm saying that my position on Wheelabrator is that we need to begin to understand the health effect and of any expansion that happens. The Massachusetts Department of Health has recently released a report indicating that there are no adverse health effects based on Wheelabrator. But other reports in the past show mixed results. I'm supportive of a health study by a federal agency, the EPA, to do an investigation on the health effect of the residents of Saugus and surrounding communities. Nothing is more important than the health and well-being of our residents. It is important to ensure that Wheelabrator receive a fair and unbiased review by all agencies, local, state, and federal. And to let you know, I have been talking to the U.S. EPA. So I have gone beyond the state level. I have gone federal to look into this. Thank you.
Rich, for State Rep Wong, please.
Representative Wong, should you be re-elected, could you talk about how you would work or continue to work with your fellow legislators and with Governor Baker?
I have been working with them, and I meet with Governor Baker every first Tuesday of the month to discuss things in our district and across Massachusetts. I also work with our local government. I have been talking to Steve Mayo, the manager of Wakefield. I have also talked to Mayor Kennedy, who has also endorsed me. I have brought things to the community, even with Saugus. I have talked to the superintendent, where I have brought things like archery. I got $30,000 for robotics. I got $30,000 for early care. I even went to the police. I got them $30,000 for their computers. And also, a tennis court that I got $30,000. I even worked with Steve Mayo, where I got $100,000 for the lake. We also have worked with them to do the schools. We're looking at a new high school for both Saugus and Wakefield. I worked with them with the middle school. I got $10 million for Saugus for the middle school. We worked on the Galvin School in Wakefield. I also worked with Saugus when we were doing Route 1 to put down for the water and water breaks. We put new ones. Sorry.
Thank you so much for that question. I plan to be a strong advocate for the 9th Essex District, and I plan to be a 24/7 voice. I was proud to receive a call from Speaker DeLeo today to wish me luck on my debate. I can work with our legislators in a stronger capacity because, unfortunately, the powers to be on Beacon Hill are Democrat. And as a result, our district, by sending a Republican to Beacon Hill, is getting shortchanged. Why is it that when I look at other districts, I see beautification of highways, I see new schools, I see a better quality of life than, frankly, what we're getting here in the 9th Essex District? Our roads are crumbling, in particular Route 1, which is at the heart of our district. The Copeland Circle project, the legislature has put into effect $167 million to start and finish the Copeland Circle project, which is the expansioning and widening of Route 1 from Copeland Circle in front of the Revere Movie Theater to Route 99 Junction in Saugus on the Saugus-Malden line. The funding for this project was supposed to be released last year, fiscal year 15. However, the funds were stopped by our governor, Governor Baker. I think we need a stronger voice to work with the rest of our delegation to bring our fair share of state aid.
Mark, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
Jen, you've indicated in some of your ads and press materials that the district needs, quote, a full-time state rep. Are you suggesting that Representative Wong has been less than a full-time state rep? And if elected, would state rep be your only job?
Absolutely. I have taken a leave of absence from Congressman Moulton's office to campaign full-time over the past 8 months. And as a result, I've knocked on over 8,000 doors. I've had the opportunity to listen to residents, hear their concerns, and start planning on how I will be a better advocate for this district. I do believe that Representative Wong has other interests at play, being the owner of a major restaurant business. I think there might present some conflict of interest there. So yes, I will be a full-time state representative. Representative Wong does show up to vote all the time, but I think we need to do more. We need a representative who will actually craft legislation, who will run through brick walls to make sure that we get our fair share. A representative who will answer your phone calls. I solved over 800 constituent cases when I worked for Congressman Seth Moulton. I know how to answer your concerns, and when you call my office, you will get a call back.
I am a full-time representative for the 9th Essex District. I'm 24/7. People even have my cell phone. I'm out there on Saturdays, Sundays. And just to tell you, it's not just about bills that we have to put out. I was told that I only put 9 bills out there, but I co-sponsored over 90 bills. And a lot of things we got, like $50,000 for Narcan for Saugus and Wakefield, $30,000 for the Belmont tennis court, $100,000 for the lake, $60,000 for robotic and enrichment program, $30,000 for computer for the police, $50,000 for the safety program in Saugus, $25,000 for Wakefield safety building. Those are not bills. Those are not sponsored bills. Those are amendment and attachments that I have put in that have brought things to our community. So don't judge just by how many bills a person puts in. It's what they bring back to the community. And I have brought things back to the community. Thank you.
Thor, a question for State Rep Wong, please.
There's a hearing, I believe, in November on the Belden Bly Bridge. It seems to be an endless project. What can be done from your position to advance that project, move it along, finally get it done to benefit Lynn and Saugus residents?
You know, I've been working very closely with our senator and our state rep. Senator McGee is the head of Transportation. Rosalie Vincent, our state rep for part of Saugus, is also on the board of Transportation. And by working with them to push forward some of these grants and money that we can get, and maybe even try to get some federal money. But the state has to put in, and also we have to work with the towns and cities that has Lynn and Saugus.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. The Belden Bly Bridge is an eyesore, to say the least. And it's just one example of the lack of infrastructure investment in transportation improvements that has come to our district. Again, we are waiting for the Copeland Circle project to begin. Linfield Street in Lynn has never been paved. Walnut Street overpass in Saugus and Route 129 in Wakefield all need help from our state. I am the best equipped candidate to work with our state leaders, and I'm the best equipped candidate to work with our federal leader. As many of you know, I worked for Congressman Seth Moulton, and I oversaw his federal grants program. So I agree with Donald Wong to a sense that we need to work with our state leaders and our federal leaders, and I have a great position and I'm a great relationship with both of these types of leaders. Representative Wong simply does not have the personal relationship I have with Congressman Moulton. I have Congresswoman Catherine Clark stumping for me next week. Congressman Joe Kennedy, I was with him last week. I have better relationships and connections to really move forward intensive infrastructure problems like the Belden Bly Bridge.
Rich, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
Jen, kind of building on the previous discussion about public transportation in Wakefield, how well served do you feel that the town is served by the MBTA? And what is the future of public transportation for Wakefield?
Absolutely. So as I've said countless times before, our district is simply not getting our fair share of local aid. And this election is about the past and the future. As your next state representative, I will fight to get our fair share of infrastructure and public transportation improvements. So in Wakefield, I think we need to do more to bring better quality T and commuter rail services. I'm a huge proponent of the North-South Rail Link, which Governor Dukakis was with me in Wakefield canvassing, and we talked a lot about connecting North Station and South Station. What this will do, folks, is actually make commuter rail, instead of every 40 minutes, it will be every 15 to 20 minutes. It will mean more public option transportations by really fighting for the North-South Rail Link. I'm a huge proponent of major infrastructure investments because I feel like we're crumbling, and we can't call ourselves the innovation economy if we have to sit in traffic for 2 hours just to get from the greater Boston area to Wakefield. We need major infrastructure investments, and that's why I'm a proponent of the Millionaire's Tax Amendment, something that my opponent is not in favor of. This would bring $2 billion to improve our infrastructure.
Okay. What she is saying are some of the things I have already been doing. One of the things I've done in Wakefield, when they told me the 5:15 train from Boston was going to be discontinued, I right away went and worked with the senators and reps and Mass DOT and had the 5:15 put back in because it means so much to the parents that have to come back and pick up their kids. Imagine if you didn't have the 5:15, people wouldn't know how to get back. They would have to leave work early or leave late, but then how do they pick up their children? I went right away and got the 5:15 put right back on for Wakefield.
Thank you. Mark, a question for State Rep Wong, please.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that Wakefield is seeking financial assistance from the MSBA to address the building deficiencies at the high school, and I understand that Saugus is also doing that. First, do you believe that Wakefield needs a new high school? And if so, how would you, as state rep, help Wakefield in securing the MSBA funds?
You know, first of all, it's not up to me whether Wakefield needs or don't need a new high school. It's up to the people of Wakefield. And I'm here to work for the people of Wakefield. If they vote in town meeting, selectmen and the town administration says they need it, I'll fight tooth and nail for them. I have been there for 3 terms. I know the people on the board of the MSBA. I myself took my time and went down there just last month to advocate that if Saugus and if Wakefield does put in for a new high school, I advocate that they look positive on this. I have always been with the schools.
Absolutely. I think increased funding for education is a top priority of mine. I was fortunate, I attended Saugus Public Schools, and I was fortunate to receive a scholarship, a softball scholarship, to go to Wellesley College. I want to make sure that all children in our district have the same opportunities as I did. We need a new high school in Wakefield, case in point. And I'm proud to be supported by Wakefield School Committee members Tom Markham and Greg Liakos. We've had extensive conversations about the campaigning that needs to be done to really potentially pass this override or debt exclusion for the new high school. I think that that would be my top priority, is to work with the MSBA and fight to make sure we're getting a fair reimbursement rate. Remember, our district is getting shortchanged. Just in the heart of our district, in Route 1, we're sending over $20 million in sales tax every year to Beacon Hill. We need to fight for our fair share of local aid, and as your next state representative, I will fight tooth and nail to make sure our district receives its fair share.
Thor, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
I want to expand on the question that Mark asked about high school construction. We've already heard talk in the last month about state budget shortfalls. I'm sure you're aware of those, Representative Wong. How do you work in the longer term for multi-year projects like high schools to ensure that the MSBA money is there and that commitment comes through in a way that's balanced enough to not be a burden on the municipalities, namely Wakefield and Saugus?
So I think that's a great question. That's why I'm such a huge proponent of, again, the millionaire's tax amendment, which my opponent is against. We need an increased revenue. And the millionaire's tax amendment would be a 4% surcharge on income over $1 million. It's very rare for an individual to make over $1 million. Out of the 150,000 people living in the entire city of Lynn, the entire town of Wakefield, and Saugus, there are only 26 millionaires. So I'm with the rest of the district in support of getting this additional revenue, $2 billion for our roads and our schools. I think that this is about working with our local elected leaders. I commend the town of Saugus for putting some money away in the stabilization fund and increasing our bond rating so that when we take out loans, we're getting that at a more fair and better rate. So I think, again, it comes down to getting more revenue in our budget. And the best way to do that currently is through the millionaire's tax amendment.
I'm talking about the $1 million tax. I see a flaw in it. I oppose the initiative because it's a slippery slope to the graduated income tax in Massachusetts. My opponent says the funds should go to the highway and schools, but when the legislator introduced an amendment guaranteeing this, my opponent's party voted it down. Without a guarantee that the tax revenue will go directly to highway and schools, this is not an effective tax that will serve the purpose of which it was intended for. There's a lot of other taxes like the gas tax, tobacco tax. When it goes to general fund, there's no guarantee that the money is going to go back to highway and schools. You have to go and try to get it out. We know how hard it is when we bring money to the towns and cities and it goes into general fund. Everyone has to fight to try to get it out of general fund to bring it to their projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich, for State Rep Wong, please.
Representative Wong, should you be reelected, what would be your priorities for the next year?
My priorities would be the economy for jobs, education, the seniors, the veterans, public service, and the opioid crisis. I have been working on all of them already. For the economy, I saved jobs by changing the IT tax. This year, they wanted the IT tax, last year, the IT tax, there were 33 of us that voted against it. 127 people voted for the IT tax. It became a tax, it became a law, they started collecting the money. Myself and 32 other reps went across the state to educate people why it was a bad thing, because we would lose jobs. Companies would go back to New Hampshire. In 90 days, we had that tax bill taken off the books, and everyone got their money back from taxes. Because there was one company in Boston that has over 1,000 people working for them. And what he was planning on doing was to move to New Hampshire, because with that tax, he could not give bids to other companies that were challenging with other companies that were out of state. We have to keep jobs in Massachusetts. Seniors, I have proposed that seniors get free dental, because that's very important for seniors, between eating and the way they look. It really hurts me when I see people, seniors, without good dental. Veterans, that's another thing that I'm really proud, because what happened is, on the tax bill, on the Home Act bill, I put a Veterans Relief Fund in, where on your real estate and excise tax, every town and city in Massachusetts can put a check mark on the bottom of the bill to donate more money to veterans. In Wakefield, they had it. I passed it for 2015 January. 2015 in the winter, there was a veteran. His home burner went on him, and the money from that donation paid for his burner. So it is working.
Thank you. With regards, just go back quickly to the millionaire's tax, Representative Wong voted against giving you a vote, a voice. The millionaire's tax will be a ballot question in 2018, so ultimately it will be you to decide, but yet Representative Wong didn't give you a voice. My priorities will be a thriving economy. I want to bring jobs to this district, but not just minimum wage retail jobs. I want to see biotech, advanced manufacturing. Representative Wong voted against a great program in Lynn, the E-Team Machinist program, to give women and underemployed veterans greater skills so that they can be advanced manufacturers, machinists. This was an amendment that Governor Baker actually vetoed, and the legislature restored the funds, $90,000 for the city of Lynn. So a thriving economy with good paying, family sustaining jobs, education, again, building new schools for Saugus and Wakefield, but also implementing all-day universal free kindergarten. And stronger constituent services. That's my bread and butter. I want to be your voice on Beacon Hill.
Mark, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
Do you favor giving driver's licenses to illegal immigrants?
No, I do not think that that is the approach we want to be taking currently in this state. I have talked with a number of police leaders that do say that it would be a help to them, because we would give these illegal immigrants actually some sort of record, but folks should be coming here legally.
Okay, I also disagree with giving illegals driver's license. What don't we understand about the word illegal? We should be putting more money into the people that are here legally, that resides in our community. And if we went against the abuse that we have out there, we might not have to raise taxes. There's a lot of abuse out there that we can correct. And by correcting them and getting the revenue from them, like the IBT cards. A couple of years ago, there was a drug pusher that got caught with 7 IBT cards. My suggestion was, you know what? We should look at who owns the IBT cards. and drug test them, because we're not here to fund their drug habits. Thank you.
Thor Jorgensen, a question for State Rep Wong, please.
Route 1's finally seeing serious development with a number of big projects planned for the mini golf site, the old Hilltop site. What can you do as a legislator to increase and boost that growth, especially in regard to infrastructure and improving Route 1? And just to tack on a little something else, does Route 1 need a configuration in terms of exits and on and off ramps to make it a more business-friendly highway?
Okay. First of all, as a state rep, we can't tell local government how to run their towns and city. We can't tell them how much commercial property they can have, how many residential. It's up to the community. But we're here to help them in any way they need assistance. If the local government asks us for suggestions or money, we're here to provide the service and money, in any way we can. And the fixing of the highway and the traffic, let's get back to Copeland Circle. Copeland Circle is a large project with statewide implication handled by the Mass DOT and is currently being held up by the Mass DEP to perform a study on the surrounding marshland. I have delivered important developments for Route 1, and that's like the water lines. I took it off the highway to the side because in the winter it was always breaking and causing traffic. I support infrastructure on the fence on the highway for the high school, not once, but twice. Once as a state rep, and before that as a selectman. Just this year, we received $130,000 to conduct a marketing analyst on the Cliffendale Square, and that's the infrastructure of the town. And to go a little further, I'm going to give you a heads up, maybe information that a lot of people don't know, but early next month, I'll be up here with the Lieutenant Governor to give Saugus Waterworks $120,000. That's to work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's look at the optics of Route 1, right? Overgrown ragweed, patchwork pavement, no sound barriers, a lot of minimum wage jobs, as I've stated before. I really want to create a new vision for Route 1. And again, I think that means a Copeland Circle project that is started and finished. And I will be a stronger advocate for this project. I've really made this a huge priority for me and my campaign because I heard from people knocking on doors. I said, what do you care about? And they said, Route 1, I hate that road. So we need to do more for the residents of the 9th Essex District. I think the Copeland Circle project, starting and finishing that, is imperative. The Walnut Street Bridge is imperative. But again, let's look at some low-hanging fruits here. Just cleaning it up, fixing the medians. I think those are critical, especially if we're trying to bring new businesses to the district. Businesses that promote, great attractions for folks to come and visit.
Thank you. Rich Tenorio, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
Jen, I was wondering if you could talk about a situation in your life, a challenge that you've faced that you feel would prepare you better for a career on Beacon Hill.
Absolutely. So I think that really the experience that, has really impacted my life the most is being a collegiate athlete. Playing college softball at Wellesley College was one of the most fantastic experiences I've ever had, and it taught me the importance of teamwork, communication, failing and getting back up, and being a vocal leader for my team. I was the captain of the Wellesley College softball team. I brought us to a NUMAC championship, and I batted .500 in my conference. I never gave up on my team. And like the leader I was on the Wellesley College softball team, I will never give up on the residents of the 9th Essex District, and I will fight to make sure that we get our fair share of state aid. So I think the experiences as a college athlete, failing, getting back up, that really has prepared me the most. And really being able to deliver that big hit when it matters the most, that's what has prepared me to be your next state representative.
Okay, thank you for that question. First of all, I'm an established businessman, a family business that's been in Saugus for 60 years. And my hobby is martial arts that I started back in 1965, and I still teach to this day. With that, I learned compassion through teaching Tai Chi. But on the political aspect, I was a town meeting member. I was a 2-term chairman of the selectmen in Saugus, and then I became a state rep. And I went gradually from step to step so that I would know what a town meeting member can do, what a selectman can do, what a state rep can do. So I don't get that mixed up like some of the projects that have been promised by other people that has nothing to do with the category that they're running for. And that's some of my past people that I ran against.
Mark, a question for State Rep Wong, please.
What is your position on ballot question 2, the to lift the charter school cap?
Okay. I support a no vote that would make no changes in the current charter school law. Over 100 school committees across the state oppose the expansion of privately run charter school. The expansion of charter school create an unfair 2-level system of education. We need to support schools and all our children. According to the Mass Department of Education this year, charter school will take more than $400 million away from the public schools. Charter schools are not accountable to the local taxpayers or the local elected school committees that oversees the public schools. I want to also say that I really are looking at public school because my son, my daughter-in-law, they're both teachers in public school. And I'm proud of that because they are doing a job of educating our youth for the future. I'm against Common Core. I don't think that we should be bringing our teaching levels down to the average of the nation because we are not competing against our own nation. We're competing internationally, and that's what we have to do. The best education for our kids and to bring all schools up.
Thank you. I am also no on 2 as the only candidate endorsed by the Mass Teachers Association, the American Federation of Teachers, and the Lynn Teachers Union, and also as a daughter of a public school teacher. I am absolutely voting no on 2, and I'm adamantly opposed to the expansion of charter schools. Something I feel like my opponent and I disagree on. In 2014, he actually voted to expand the cap on charter schools. So I am adamantly opposed to the expansion of charter schools. It drains resources from our public schools. And I was pleased to see that Representative Wong took my position only 2 days after winning the Democratic primary with over 70% of the vote. I was glad to see him hold the no on 2 sign at the Saugus Founders Day.
Thor, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
I'll let Ms. Migliore expand on her point, and I'm not quoting exactly. In the response to one question, you mentioned you had a concern about a possible conflict of interest relative to Representative Wong's legislative service versus his other interests. Could you, since the order is to you, I believe, Representative, would you like to rebut or respond to that remark initially?
Okay, it's to me. Okay. Yes.
He can.
We're going in order.
All right. Okay. So I just think
No
that certain votes, like he voted against increasing the minimum wage in 2014. He was adamantly opposed to the bottle bill because the Restaurants Association was adamantly opposed to the bottle bill. I think he was against equal pay in 2014. I'm glad he's for equal pay in 2016. But I think that votes regarding businesses, Representative Wong is in a difficult position. But he owns a fabulous business in Saugus, and I attend it many times. So I think he's a great business owner. The Collins is an amazing business. But I think in certain votes regarding businessmen, he might have a potential conflict of interest.
I'm thankful for your concern, but every time I vote on anything on business, I go to the Ethic Committee at the State House and ask them, am I allowed to vote? And they ask me certain questions, and a lot of time I have to have it written, and they say I have the right to vote. And you know what? That's very important on voting for certain things, like the bottle bill and everything that concerns restaurants. But it's not just restaurant. It also concerns the public, the individual that buys the water and everything. You know, so I just want to say that I run everything by the Ethic Commission at the State House, and they so far has told me I can vote on everything, because they only say the only time you will be exempt from voting when it is only for your restaurant. If it's for the whole state, you know, it's general law. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich, a question for State Rep Wong, please.
Representative, should you be reelected, what committees would you look to serve or continue to serve on, and why?
You know, I'm here to serve on any committee that they think that I should be on, but I've been very fortunate because the Speaker of the House and the Minority Leader, since day one, has put me on Ways and Means. And Ways and Means is a very powerful, the most powerful committee at the State House. And everything that goes by the State House goes through Ways and Means. And that's where I'm so happy that we're on Ways and Means, because I get to talk not only to the state reps, but also to the Senate. And we, a lot of time, agree on things, and if we don't, we negotiate. We don't demand. We work with each other and get things done. And that's how I always been. I never demand anything. We negotiate and get it done the right way. By everyone winning, everyone happy, everyone leaves the table and willing to come back and work together.
So I've had a great experience over the past 8 months, again, knocking on close to over 8,000 doors. And I've heard your concerns. The residents of the 9th Essex District want better roads, and they want better schools. And they want a district that's whole again. So I would ask to be on the Education Committee, the Transportation Committee, and the Redistricting Committee. It simply does not make sense that Wakefield is split in half. It simply does not make sense that I represent 8 out of the 10 communities in Saugus, and it simply does not make sense that I would only represent 2 precincts in the entire city of Lynn. So again, I would ask to be placed on the Education, the Transportation, and the Redistricting Committees, because those are the issues that most affect the 9th Essex District.
Thank you. Mark, a question for Jennifer Migliore, please.
Do you believe that taxes are too high in Massachusetts? And if so, what can be done to provide some relief for taxpayers?
Yeah, I think that, our middle-class families are clearly struggling. I knocked on countless doors, and folks are struggling to afford, daycare for the kids. That's why I'm such a huge proponent of, again, all-day free kindergarten throughout the district, and I commend Wakefield for doing so. With regards to, I think taxes are fine as they are, except I would be a huge advocate and proponent of the millionaire's tax, but again, that would only affect 28 individuals out of the 150,000 individuals that reside in Wakefield, Saugus, and Lynn. So that would be the only really tax change I would like to advocate for.
Sorry. I believe that if we can take away all the abuse that is happening with the money that we are collecting in taxes, or some of the, I hate to say it, illegal or unregistered aliens. We are compassionate. Massachusetts is very compassionate. But you know what? We have to help our own people first, the residents of Massachusetts, before we can help anyone else. It's like a person that is sick. If I'm sick, I can't help you. But if I'm well, I can help everyone around me. And that's what we got to bring back, helping the hardcore working class. And that's what we do. That's what I see in my business. I see the cooks, the waitresses, the waiters. They're all hardworking family people, and we got to take care of them. In my restaurant, I treat them like family, and that's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be looking at people just as people. We should be treating them like family, and that's where I got my compassion from doing Tai Chi and Qigong and martial arts. Thank you.
Question for State Rep Wong, please.
I'd like you both to expand on your tax positions, but speak in part, please, to the status currently of the gas tax. It more and more seems to be emerging as the one option to really deal with huge infrastructure and transportation improvement costs in the state.
And the gas tax, there's so many things that people were talking about. But again, I want to see where that tax money is going to go. Again, if it goes to general fund, we don't know where it's going to go. We have to have the taxes go where, not just where it's suggested, but make it so that it does go for what it does. If it's for roads, designate it to it. But a lot of time, taxes go into general fund, and that's just not right, because the people want it to go to roads, and it's not. And until we start making commitments on our taxes, on where they should be appropriate to, you're just gonna have more taxes and not know where the money is. We have to designate it to certain things and make sure it gets there, so that it can fix the roads that we have. Thank you.
So the beautiful thing about the gas tax is that it actually would be designated solely to fixing infrastructure and crumbling roads. And seeing as I just spent, I think, close to $800 fixing my tires because I had some flat tires going over too many potholes in the district, I am a proponent. I was a proponent of increasing the gas tax. Obviously, it was a ballot question in 2014, and I voted for that. But overall, it did not pass. But, taxes are a good thing if, as Representative Wong says, if they're going to the things that they're supposed to be used for. And the gas tax is one of these taxes where it actually goes to fixing our roads. So that's something I'm definitely a proponent of.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions from the press panel. At this moment, we will go to closing statements, 2 minutes for each candidate, starting with Jennifer Migliore.
Thank you so much, WCAT. I'm glad to be a part of this debate, and thank you so much to our press panel. My name is Jennifer Migliore, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Tuesday, November 8th. This election is about the past versus the future, and this election is about our district getting our fair share of local aid. Over the past 6 years, our community has had an experienced representative, and as a result, we've had weak constituent services and very little movement related to the issues of major infrastructure projects and increased education funding. And the times when Representative Wong should have been concentrating on state issues at Beacon Hill, he was too heavily involved in Saugus politics. I hope that I've shown you tonight that I have a new vision for the 9th Essex District, a vision which includes fixing our crumbling infrastructure, improving our roads, building stronger schools, and creating a thriving economy with advanced manufacturing and biotech jobs. I understand the problems facing our district. I care about our future, and I will be the rep that returns your phone call. I have the passion, the energy, and a vested interest in our community to deliver real results for us. So on Tuesday, November 8th, I respectfully ask that you cast your ballot for me because we deserve better.
You have a choice in this election. To make that choice, please consider my opponent's background. My opponent now resides in Saugus, but for 8 years, she was away at private school. While she was in college, I was advocating for bills to improve public education, public safety, and the infrastructure. My opponent worked 9 months as a government staffer. I served my community in town government for 6 years, and my district in state government for 6 years also. My opponent has no experience on any budget other than her own. I have a highly experience of commercial, family, and state budget. My opponent's youth and inexperience should concern you. I have a track record of proven leadership, legislative accomplishment, and fiscal responsibility. I have a 100% voting record in the State House. I am a 3-term member of the powerful Joint Ways and Means Committee. I cross party line to get the best results. As a son, husband, father, grandfather, I know the challenges of this generation. My opponent boasts that she lived in Saugus 24 years. I have lived and worked in Saugus for over 40 years. Our family business has been in Saugus for over 60 years. I deliver results for my district. For example, supporting the pay equity bill for women, advocating to protect our children, fighting to keep jobs by overturning the IT tax, amending the Home Act to benefit veterans, advocating change in the law to combat the opioid crisis, fighting to increase school funding, making improvement in our roads, bridges, and streets. I am the candidate with the knowledge and experience to lead this district. Unlike my opponent, I am running to do a job, not to get a job. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you to both candidates for participating this evening. Commendable that you both did it with grace, with polish, and without any back and forth at each other. Really appreciate that. Thank you to the press. As always, they bring the best questions to these debates. And thank you to our audiences in Wakefield, Lynn, and Saugus. I hope that you have gotten something out of these debates. Remember that Tuesday, November 8th, this is probably one of the most critical elections in our history. Please get out and vote. Vote for your choices. Make democracy happen. Thank you for joining us, and have a great evening. Good night.